magazine, I recently did a review or a video about the new Queen single, as it was then, with the forthcoming deluxe box set for the Miracle album. And as I'm sitting here now, it's November the 25th, I think it is. I should know that really. It's coming up to the day when, or the anniversary of when Freddie Mercury passed away. And I was asked to add a few words to a radio station about this, but I thought I'd also do a separate video as well, because I was thinking that in some ways, when I think of Freddie, and there's a thing, isn't it? I don't just think of him as Freddie Mercury now. I think of him as Freddie, as if he's a friend, as if I know him. And in some ways, I feel like I know him more now than I've ever done. And that could be because I'm older and where I am in my own life, in the trajectory that I'm on. But also I look back and realise that Freddie Mercury has been in my life for all the years that I can really remember. I was 14 when I first became aware of Queen, and they were supporting Mott the Hoople, and people were going to see Queen rather than Mott the Hoople. But it was 74 when this album appeared, and Killer Queen came out, and I bought the sheet music for that because I was learning to play guitar, and I thought I'd learn how to play that. It was so complicated. There's so many chord changes in it, but I managed it. I even bought the sheet music for the album, and of course the whole thing about Queen was the music was so varied. Straight away, were they a heavy metal band, or were they a rock band, or were they a pop band, or what were they? Some of the music defied description in some ways. Were they a prog band? There was so much going on, and each album was different. But the thing was that as I went through life, and I left school in 75, and I was listening to Zeppelin and Purple and Bad Company, everything, Queen were there with Night of the Opera, Bohemian Rhapsody, and all this stuff. And then of course I remember when I first started work, the Queen singles were on the radio. You know, rock music didn't get played on the radio very much, but if it was a Queen song, it would get played. You know, Somebody to Love, and of course I remember the first time I heard We Will Rock You I think I was working in a factory in Alum Rock in Birmingham, and I heard that and thought, sounds like Queen. And what an anthem. And all the way through that time, even when they dabbled with music that wasn't quite for me, but just switching back to News of the World, it was like full-on metal song on that, wasn't it? And then there'd be like party pop and stuff, and then the disco stuff and the dance stuff in the mid-80s, and then Freddie Mercury wearing shorts and gowns and crowns and stuff. It was just Freddie. He was America had David Lee Roth, we had Freddie Mercury, because they were a band that, if you had some friends that weren't into rock music, they liked Queen. It was like it just sat there. And if they were going now and Freddie was still around, they'd be headlining Glastonbury. They'd be headlining every festival, because they would appeal to everybody. And that was another great thing about them. You watched those timeless concerts. They played so many different styles of music. And I think that's why the pinnacle, of course, is Live Aid, isn't it? That 15 minutes of pure brilliance. But other bands were thinking, what should we do? They knew exactly what to do. Like a pure distilled jukebox that everyone in the world would sing along to. And Freddie Mercury was a conductor of people. He was a conductor of words and of dynamics and light and shade and music, and a fantastic musician in his own right. The whole of Queen are as well, and the fact that they all wrote, it's quite remarkable actually that they all wrote music themselves, and it all sounded like it came from the same band. You know, at some bands, the one member writes something that doesn't fit in, sounds odd. No, never like that with Queen, was it? But I think it was those ballads, Who Wants to Live Forever, which still resonates with me, which is why I like that recent single. But that sense of life affirming music, really, and the performance and everything. And I do feel as if I probably think more about Freddie Mercury and Queen, or miss him more, or now than I did when he first passed away. I remember seeing it in the newspaper, but I was busy with life and everything. But now, with doing this now, Spinning Magazine, and I'm more in tune with music and realising the power of music and what it's meant to me for my own physical and mental health. I can almost see between the notes, between the words, when I listen to Queen, or I think about Freddie Mercury, and understand why Brian and Roger have carried on. I mean, why wouldn't you? But Freddie Mercury, I'm a stickler for thinking great rock vocalists: Paul Rodgers, Robert Plant, Ian Gillan, David Coverdale, Sammy Hagar. Those are my. But I have to admit that the range and the tonality of Freddie Mercury's voice, and his confidence as an entertainer, as a performer, and someone and command of the audience, and sense of staging of those words, and building up to, the whole way that all of that, the arrangements. There's no one like him, really. And I think that's, as we look back through the lens of time, and we think each time this time of year comes round, we look back and think his star has not diminished. And I don't think it ever will. It'll be a beacon for inspiration, and a beacon for life affirming music. And as I said, as I always do, that music is the healer and the doctor. There are so many different flavours in Queen's music. It's like going to a restaurant where, instead of just thinking, I'll have my favourite dish, you look at the menu, you think, God, I could have all of that. And over time you do, because that's what Queen's albums are like. Anyway, thank you for watching, thank you for being here, and keep spinning those records. Thank you to all my patrons, Yogi, Chris, Andy and Clive, and everyone else who's recently come on board, and I shall talk to you very, very soon.